coming on here today because I have been crying almost every single night about the state of our country and the immigration crisis that's happening, especially when it comes to these little kids. I have no words for what's happening with these children. I watched the clip of, I don't know, she was a detention center manager, whatever she was doing, where she was talking about how having soap and toothpaste, inferring and implying that doesn't go under sanitary conditions for children and sleeping. And people are standing by saying we don't have an immigrant problem, we don't have a problem with racism, we don't have a problem with our president, with intolerance, and with people in power. What's happening right now in our country is abnormal. What's happening to people being desensitized to the needs of others is abnormal. The fact that I have belonged to this church for a long time, that does not actively participate in social justice initiatives like this, and where preachers are afraid to preach these sermons about these things, is not right. And I don't have any desire anymore, because there have been times that I've seen what's happening with Trump, and I'm going to say Trump. And yes, other presidents that have been in power, but I'm going to say Trump because this is what's happening right now, and this is how I feel, and he's the one in power. There are other things that have happened with other presidents where I've been upset and I've been frustrated and I've seen problems. But what's happening right now, specifically with President Trump and the problems that he is creating and the tension he's creating, and not just him, but the people that are in power next to him, the racist people, the bigots, the people who want to discriminate, actually the people that want to make America great again. America was already great, and it was built off the backs of immigrants. It was built off the backs of immigrants and the backs of slaves. The racism and the lack of tolerance for people that are different in this country goes totally against what this country stood for. I'm not talking about the white people in power or the foundations of this country. I'm talking about people who believed in this nation being a place that was welcoming for all people, where everybody was welcome, everybody had a chance to succeed, everybody had a place to be, and also a place to escape from those countries that they were having issues in, countries that were extreme places of violence and of just horrific conditions. Some of these people are being detained like concentration camps. And, I talked to a few ministers. I've actually talked to a few ministers that are not, like, their churches are not welcoming and affirming, and they're not participating in social justice and these big things. They're participating in little acts of social justice by having pantries and, different little things for churches, which is fine. I think that's fine. But these ministers are afraid and don't know how to find the balance of these, to have these messages with their congregations. And they're like, well, how do you talk to a congregation where people are divided on these issues? Well, you talk to them about it, whether there's a divide or not. I mean, if you don't call out injustice as a minister, as a person who has a platform that influences people, you are doing a disservice to your congregation, you're doing disservice to yourself. The reasons why I do not want to be an Adventist right now is because I go to too many freaking conservative churches that I have been to at least, I'm in the city of Chicago, I've been to at least 10 churches, and I'm not just talking about in the city of Chicago, but I'm talking about in general, that are Adventists, and people say that there is not a problem in our country, that there isn't a racism problem, there isn't a discrimination problem. They have all these programs on, making the service better, making the church better, spending money on their buildings, all this different stuff. Where the heck is the gospel of love and of justice and doing justice and mercy to thy neighbor and goodness and speaking truth in that way. I don't see these messages. That's why I don't like going to I don't want to go to a church that I don't hear that message regularly articulated to the wider congregation. It's not right. It's, like I said, a disservice and a dishonor to God. God is a God of justice. If you are a pastor or minister, your job is to remind people that everyone is a child of God and not to discriminate and not to show partiality. I know that it's hard. I know it's very difficult to be in a congregation that is stubborn, that has learned things a certain way, and that has been a certain way for a long time. But if you have a call in your life as a minister, your job is to that call, that baptism, that holy baptism that you immerse yourself in from a young age means like bringing out justice back into the country and making sure that people are equal and stuff like that. If you don't do that, then you're really doing a disservice to yourself and to your congregation.